Hello everyone! Today I've prepared for you the oldest surviving chess game in history, the very first recorded chess game we know of. It was played between two Spanish noblemen, Francesco di Castellvi and Narciso Vinyoles. The record of this game was discovered in the archives in 1905, and in translation it is known as the Chess of Love. It was played around 1475, and what's remarkable is that this is the very first game of chess as we know it today, with these same rules and the same way of recording moves. Earlier forms of chess, like chaturanga, had very different rules. And in this game, for the first time, we see the queen gaining her full power, moving exactly as we know her today. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. It really helps the channel. So, let's get into the game.
White begins with the king's pawn e4, and black responds with d5. We know this today as the Scandinavian defense. But of course, back then, nobody had names for openings. They just played as they saw fit. There's an exchange of pawns on d5, and after the recapture with the queen, white develops the knight to c3, attacking the queen. The queen retreats to d8, and after white brings out the bishop to c4, black develops the knight to f6. White plays knight f3. As we can see, white actually understands something about development. They've brought out their kingside pieces and are ready to castle, hiding their king. But black is lagging behind with only one knight developed so far. Black plays bishop g4, pinning the knight on f3. But after h3, white challenges the bishop. If black captures, then after bishop x3, queen x3, white's queen already takes an active position on f3, eyeing the pawn on b7. Black plays e6, opening the diagonal for the dark-squared bishop, but allowing white to capture on b7. Maybe this was a pawn sacrifice. Maybe it was just inexperience. Either way, white grabs the pawn. At this point, black tries to catch up in development, playing knight d7 to defend the rook on a8, but white strikes hard with knight b5, threatening the nasty fork on c7, heading king and rook. Here, black should have defended with the bishop on d6, but instead he goes with the rook on c8. White immediately punishes them by capturing on a7, and the black rook is under pressure again. Trying to escape the knight's attack, black sacrifices the rook for the knight, but white simply continues to dominate. And white advances his central pawn, taking advantage of the fact that the queen can't take it because the knight on c8 is hanging. The black knight continues to dance and stops on d6, attacking the queen and bishop. White continues his brilliant play, bishop b5 check. And after the knight takes on b5, the white queen takes on b5. The black knight retreats to d7. They don't want to trade queens because simplifying the position will only help white reach the endgame more quickly, where their pawn army on the queen's side will begin to march forward. Here white already has a material advantage, an extra exchange, with a rook against only a knight. And since white's king is perfectly safe in the center, there are no real threats. Meanwhile, black's pieces are completely tied up, and their king side is still asleep. Black tries to break through with d5, poking at white's position, but their king is still stranded in the center while white can castle at any moment and bring the rook into play along the e-file. Black goes along with white's plan by capturing on d5, while white calmly develops their last minor piece with bishop e3. Black replies with bishop d6, finally trying to set up some sort of castling. White brings the rook to d1, and suddenly the black queen jumps to f6. Then the white rook on b5 snatches a pawn, but black counters with queen g6, as if launching a counterattack, hoping the rook on h1 is hanging. They boldly sacrifice the bishop on f4, leaving the pawn on g2 under attack as well. Black takes the bait and captures the bishop, gaining a piece, or so it seems. But right after that, like thunder from a clear sky, the white queen crashes in with queen d7+. The black king has only one escape square, f8,
But then Queen F7 checkmate ends the game with checkmate.
Now that's what I call a fascinating game for its time. Considering this was the oldest recorded chess game that has survived, it's clear both players had real experience at the board. They might even have been among the strongest players of their day. And who knows, maybe if you or I had lived back then, we would have been world champions ourselves. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like or dislike and leave a comment with the games you'd like to see me cover next. See you soon!